Metru had to negotiate with Defilak, the leader of Mahri Nui, and the other Toa Mahri traveled to the Fields of Air to fight off the 5,000 Kiraz crabs sent by Karapar. The Toa Mahri were then captured by the 6 warlords known as the Baraki. Nuparu then discovered the Kordak blasters in the cave that they were trapped in. He tested it out and realized the possible power it had, and added it to his arsenal. He then showed the other Toa what power the Kordak blaster had, and they all were armed with one. The original Kanoi Kadon that Nuparu had transformed into a Kanoi Volatak, the Mask of Stealth. With this mask, Nuparu could be invisible and create no sound at all. He used the mask to sneak out of the cave. When Nuparu split up with Huki, they were ambushed by Elek, one of the Baraki. He knocked them into a chasm, making them unconscious, and released an army of eels after them. He was then woken up by Huki during the eel attack. Huki tried to fight off the eels, while Nuparu decided to use his earth powers to make a big column of earth to rise them over the chasm. They were again ambushed by Elek and a portion of his army. So Huki used his Kanoi Gere, the Mask of Gravity, to bring a bunch of Takia sharks to fight against the eels, so they could escape. Nuparu and Huki then reunited with the rest of the Toa Mahri, and they finally got the name Toa Mahri from Defilak, who finally was convinced that the Toa Mahri were good guys and were there to protect them from the Baraki. Metru came and then told them about what they had to do to save Matanui's life, which was to destroy the cord, sending Voyanui back to the southern continents. The only problem was that Mahri Nui would be destroyed in the process. So the Toa Mahri escorted all of the Matoran up the cord to Voyanui where they would be safe. But they were ambushed by their former foes, the Paraka, who mutated to only their head and spine. They threatened to kill the Matoran if the Toa did not surrender. But both the Toa Mahri and Paraka were struck by a giant lightning blast, which knocked them each unconscious. Once they woke up, they learned that it was Axon who fired the electric blast. He told them that the Paraka were under arrest and would be interrogated by the order of Matanui, and that all the Matoran were safe in Voyanui. He then introduced the Toa Mahri to a traveling vehicle that would get them down the cord as fast as possible, the Toa Terrain Crawler. Once the Toa Mahri returned to the pit, they had to fight the Baraki and the pit jailer Hydraxon, who had possessed the body of Dekar, a Pole Matoran from Mahri Nui. Nuparu first aided Holly in fighting off the Baraki. Then he helped Huki fight off a giant Gedunka. But once they tried to destroy the cord, a whole bunch of creatures started surrounding them. Everyone of the Toa Mahri got knocked out except Metru, who was still holding the Mask of Life in his hands. Once the rest of the Toa Mahri awoke, they proceeded to destroy the cord, despite a little confrontation with Hydraxon. As Voyanui returned to the southern continent, the Toa Mahri followed it, but they were stopped by the Baraki. So Metru decided to take the mask with him and go follow Voyanui, while the other 5 Toa Mahri fought against the Baraki for their final time. It was a harsh battle. The Baraki were winning by a long shot. Jaller decided to use a Nova Blast to sacrifice himself and his whole team to defeat the Baraki. Thankfully, the Toa Mahri were transported back to Metru Nui. They became amphibians, and Jaller had to suppress his Nova Blast. Nuparu was first to realize that Metru wasn't there, and told Turaga Vakama about Maturu's great sacrifice. Nuparu then led the memorial service, and he helped Huki create a statue in honor of Metru. The Toa Mahri were then crowned protectors of Metru Nui and were ready to face the Kardas dragon.